It's a little cumbersome to get started. All right. Okay, can everybody see my screen okay? And I know you're on mute, but you can still tell me in the chats if you can't see it. Okay, great.
Yeah, we could see it. Thank you.
So again, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. My name is Wendy Petrucco, and along with my dear friend, Osnat Shah, we're going to
Hi
be
there.
how to ease pain with natural remedies. So I just invite you in the chat to let us know how many of you are dealing currently with issues of pain. I spoke with Barbara for a few minutes before we got on the phone call, and she's talking about some of the pain issues that she's having. I'd like to know also if you're on any medications, what has worked for you. So if you can just let us know in the chat. So do you ever think that pain is trying to alert you to a harmful change in your body? Pain is meant to make you feel uncomfortable so that you know you need to do something or stop doing something if you're injured or if you're unwell. And years ago, I was a very busy fitness instructor. I taught about 15 aerobics classes a week, and I looked really fit and I felt really awful. I struggled with chronic plantar fasciitis, bone spurs. I had ocular migraines, which means you lose your peripheral vision and you get this really terrible headache. I had body-wide issues of pain. I had insomnia. I had a skin issue called seborrheic dermatitis, constipation, and I had back pain, and I had crushing fatigue. But hey, I looked great. So everybody would always comment, "What are you eating? What are you doing? You look so good." I just felt so bad that I went to the doctor. And the first doctor that I went to said, "Oh, we could do surgery on your feet, but I wouldn't really recommend that." He wasn't really advocating that I do that, but he didn't really have any good suggestions for all of my foot pain. And then another doctor that I went to thought I was dealing with nuclear fallout from the Fukushima nuclear event that happened in Japan several months earlier. Neither of those doctors ever asked me about my diet or my lifestyle. So looking back, excuse me, I can see that my diet and lifestyle were to blame because the body never does anything wrong. It does what it's told. But I'll tell you, if I had ignored those signs and symptoms, I feel quite certain that I wouldn't have the health that I have today. I'm 64 years old, and if you Google this, you'll learn that most people that are in their 60s are taking up to 4 prescription medications a day. They're trying to regulate their blood pressure, their cholesterol, their pain, their depression, their blood sugar. And pain is a warning that if it's left unattended, it creates more pain, more dysfunction, and more disease. So how did I get rid of my health concerns? I learned how to care for my fascia, which is this amazing fluid-based system in the body that as we age, the fluid just naturally dries out and it creates body-wide issues of pain that are seemingly unrelated. I stopped drinking coffee and alcohol. I drank a lot more water. I became a food detective and I discovered that I had food sensitivities that were causing some issues, and I eliminated sugar. And I cut way back on those punishing fitness classes. I got more sleep. And all of my health issues were related really to systemic inflammation. And once I got that under control, I really felt so much better. And I'm just so thankful that I had that experience so that now I can help you go from feeling skeptical and uncertain to more confident and knowledgeable about your own issues of pain. So Asna and I work with women who want to love their life, but they have underlying symptoms that interfere with the quality of their health. And we want to change that. We want to help you really live with upgrades to your diet and lifestyle that are going to improve not only your perception and level of pain, but your health and your ability to live a really long, healthy life. So our agenda today is to talk about pain. We want to explore your pain. We want to think about what the different types of pain are, acute and chronic. And we want to discuss why it's better to use natural remedies. We're going to talk about 3 hacks: slow carb diet, a nutrient rich hydration, and microbiome balance. And then, as a bonus, we're going to quickly review some essential oils that you can use topically to ease aches and discomforts fast. Because really, what we're after is the body needs a chance to heal. And that doesn't happen overnight. It's not a quick fix. It could take months for you to really start to feel the changes in your body. But if you're still dealing with those issues of pain, we want to give you some remedies that'll help the body be comfortable as you move through the other protocols. So here we'd like, again, for you to assess and address your pain. I want to know what hurts. And again, you can put that in the chat. And I want to know, for how long have you had this issue? And I'd love to know what you've tried. So our goal is to get to the root cause of the pain, but we're also going to support your body while it heals. So a lot of us are tempted to use over-the-counter and prescription medications as we're attempting to eliminate pain in our bodies. And here you can see that the use of acetaminophen can cause acute liver failure. That's actually something that you'll see on a death certificate: medication-induced liver failure. Another issue with long-term use of medications is that adding alcohol is dangerous. And you might be taking a medication for such a long time that you don't even consider that. And you'll go out and have a drink or have a glass of wine with friends. You should use Aleve for no more than 10 days. I have a girlfriend that had 2 knee replacements, one right after the other, and she was living on Aleve for months, and she ended up giving herself a stomach bleed, and she almost died. She's one of my dearest friends. All medicines have side effects, over-the-counter and prescription medications. Pain relievers can react harmfully with other medications. And again, if you're on them for a long time, you might even forget that you're taking them. Your doctor might not be aware that you're taking medications and prescribe things that just don't play well together. And prescription opiates, of course, can lead to addiction. So there's lots of reasons to avoid taking medications on the long term. And we recommend that you use the healing power of nature instead. And what that means to us is that you're using whole food plants, you're using your essential oils, you're taking supplements in a very wise and mindful way. So let's talk about pain. So I love this little video with Sandra Bullock. She's like my favorite actress. And I just marvel that she was able to keep that little crown on her head as she did her little trip and fall. But usually acute pain is something that you recognized the event, right? You stubbed your toe, you fell off your bike, you broke your wrist. It's something that you recognize a cause and effect. This kind of pain can last for up to 6 months, and it can turn into a chronic pain. So for instance, if a joint doesn't heal well, then it could become arthritic later. And chronic pain often has an unknown origin. It's something that can travel through the body. It can last longer than 6 months. It can definitely influence your emotional well-being. And here's the real kicker: it can take a really long time for that diagnosis to occur. I'm thinking here about autoimmune diseases, and I just want to add that autoimmune diseases are affecting way more women than men. As a matter of fact, 80% of the diagnoses for autoimmune is for women. So this is a particular area of concern for all of us. So we have 3 surprising hacks to help you ease pain. And I'm going to move right on to the first one. And I'm going to ask Osnat, before she gets into this first hack, to take a moment and introduce herself to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Asnat Shah, and I'm a functional nutrition consultant. I'm also a registered nurse and a resilience coach. So I have discovered the use of these natural remedies to help my own personal symptoms, my migraines, my sciatica, my stomach aches, and I've had huge just recoveries in those areas. So really grateful that I discovered these surprising hacks and these surprising connections between these hacks and my experience of having physical pain. So the first one we'll look at is called managing our glucose levels. And the way I like to look at it as I like to put clothing on my carbs. So that means that when I eat anything that's a carbohydrate, whether it's a refined carbohydrate like a thank you for that slide. Whether it's, bread, pasta, which is a refined carbohydrate, or something that's even a like rice and potatoes and sweet potatoes, that's a more, and fruit, those are more unrefined carbohydrates, whatever, any kind of carb, anytime I put it into my body will break it down, starting with in my mouth, then in my stomach, and then on my small intestine, and my body breaks it down into the lowest common denominator, which is glucose. And the glucose will go into my bloodstream and then go to my cells to give me energy. However, if I eat pure carbs, then what happens is the glucose goes very quickly into my bloodstream, and what it causes what's called a glucose spike, where my blood glucose could rise, as we see in the red line here. My blood glucose can rise very quickly and then drop very quickly. So then my experience of that is fatigue and hunger because I've just had a glucose spike. But what also it does, the sugar could cause inflammation in my body. It could cause a very slow damage to my peripheral it causes to every single part of the body. And we know people who have diabetes have the long-term effect of it, which is neuropathies and kidney failure and eyes. And that is caused by years and years and years of blood glucose spikes. So when putting clothing on my carbs, what I do is I eat my carbs with protein, and thank you, I put some clothes on my carbs, and I eat my carbohydrates together with a protein. And here we see two examples of somebody's glucose. First, the top picture is when they ate a bowl of oatmeal, and you see how their glucose spiked and then dropped. And to contrast it with the lower picture, when someone eats a bowl of oatmeal together with an egg and some apple cider vinegar, and how the blood glucose sort of very slowly goes into your body, gets absorbed by your body slowly, and does not cause a spike. So those are, and the reason that the reason that glucose spikes can cause pain is because of the inflammation that the excess glucose causes in our body. The immune system releases inflammatory molecules to break down the sugar, the excess sugar, because when there are situations when there's too much glucose in our blood and it goes into our cells, but our cells are so full of glucose, the insulin, which escorted the glucose into our cells, are knocking on the doors of our cells, and our cells are saying, sorry, we're full. No more, we've closed down shop because we cannot allow any more glucose into our cells. So then we have excess glucose going around our body. And what this causes is inflammation, and it causes our body to store the excess glucose as fat. So we have what people experience. Some people experience is neuropathy, joint pain, muscle stiffness, swelling, osteoarthritis, arthritis, tendonitis, kidney pain, and the list is endless, because if it happens in any part of our body, the results of inflammation and excess fat and also what happens is the immune system has these antigen sort of combinations which get stored in our joints, which causes arthritis and osteoarthritis and other joint pain. So inflammation and excess fat is what will bring our experience of pain and inflammation into our body. So I'd
Yeah.
like to hand over to Wendy if there's anything you'd like to add to that.
Yeah, I would. I would also say that for those of us that are on a quest to lose belly fat, just remember that when you have these blood sugar spikes, your body is using sugar, using the energy from the sugar rather than from the stored fat in your body. So it's one of the reasons why fasting has become so popular because it's giving the body a longer period of time to clean house and use up all of that excess sugar. And then it goes into fat burning mode. And we have Donna on the call today, and she's a big proponent of fasting. And I do like fasting for a lot of people, but I don't recommend it for everybody. And so let's take a moment and just say that these three hacks are good for most people, but maybe not for everybody. And so we're going to invite you to do a discovery call with us so that we can find the right protocol for you. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and put your contact information into the chat, and we'll go ahead and get back to you about that discovery call. So again, the blood sugar in the body is a real culprit to creating this inflammatory response in the body. So the suggestion is to put clothing on your carbs. And I'm going to zip through that slide again. And here's some combinations that you could consider. So you never want to eat them naked, right? I like that. So you want to have oatmeal with an egg. The egg is going to slow down that carbohydrate absorption. The arugula salad and spaghetti, the salad with vinegar, then a cheeseburger and fries. Add black beans to your rice and apple with peanut butter. And you know, as I consider these, it's a little bit of a challenge for me to play that little that little gymnastics game with my food. And so this morning I was looking in my refrigerator for some appropriate combinations. And we had purchased a pineapple yesterday, and I picked up some kiwi. And so I thought, oh, I'm just going to have a nice big fruit salad. And then I was thinking about our presentation today, and I thought, okay, I need to add some fat to that fruit salad. And so this might not be what you would have chosen, but this is what I had in my cupboard. I had some almond butter. And so I just put some almond butter with my fruit this morning. And actually, it was surprisingly good. But I knew that I was keeping that blood glucose spike just a little bit smaller than it would have been if I just had that bowl of fruit. Again, for some of us, this is going to be kind of a challenge to consider what food combinations are going to work. And so you might consider that there are other options. Osnat talked about the apple cider vinegar. That's been shown to slow down that rate of carbohydrate absorption. I'm not talking about what are they called? The apple cider vinegar gummies. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about apple cider vinegar that you might put in some water. If that's not palatable for you, another option could be mulberry leaf extract, which I'm saying is the little black dress for your carbs. Like you could always consider that as an option. Mulberry leaf extract has been shown to slow down the rate of carbohydrate slash sugar absorption. So it's going to lower that glucose spike. And I love this. It's always in fashion. When you have a glucose spike, it creates something called, see if I can say this right, advanced glycation end products. And that acronym is AGES. Every time you have one of those glucose spikes, it ages the body. And we want to keep that spike as low as we can. So how do you get mulberry leaf extract into your hands? Well, doTERRA has a product called MetaPower Assist, and I have that little capsule right here. It's a very tiny little capsule, and inside it has mulberry leaf extract, and it has 5 essential oils that together support your metabolism. You take this about 15 to 20 minutes before you have your biggest meal, and it will also minimize that glucose spike. So there's some options for you. If you're out with some friends and you're going to go out for lunch, like I know you do, you could have this in your purse, take that as you're walking out the door, and then you can enjoy your beautiful lunch without experiencing that spike. If you're home and you like apple cider vinegar, you could have a little bit of that in some water before you eat your meal. So there's a couple of options for you. Dress your carbs, apple cider vinegar, and MetaPower Assist. Okay, I'm also going to just remind you how wonderful doTERRA is. So doTERRA has really set the bar for essential oil purity potency, and testing. We talked about this in our last class, which was Essential Oils 101. And they always are mindful of testing their products. They would never send anything out into the marketplace that had fillers or adulterants or was contaminated. That moves us in the wrong direction. I would caution you against purchasing any product other than doTERRA, because those other companies that say they're pure, they're organic, they're therapeutic, they don't do the thorough testing that doTERRA does. It's just a different product. So you can't take the information that we're saying today and apply that to the essential oils that you buy at Walmart, okay? Can you hear my dog in the background? She's getting whiny. So Osnet's going to talk to you about the second hack.
Thank you, Wendy. So we're going to speak about the second surprising hack of how to reduce pain and inflammation, and that is hydration, drinking enough water. So it's part of it is drinking enough water, but the other part is getting the right electrolytes into our body. So the reason that dehydration and hydration is such an important part of dealing with pain, chronic and acute pain, is because when our bodies are dehydrated, it leads to higher perception of pain and lower pain tolerance. And one of the reasons for that is because our body, the human body, is made up, 60 to 70% of our body is made up of water. And our bodies, so when there is a sense of dehydration, if some of our internal organs are not hydrated well, they'll manage and they'll work okay, and then they'll send all the hydration to the parts of our body that we can sort of feel. And some people say, "Oh, how do I know that I'm thirsty? How do I know that I need to drink?" And they think it's when their mouth feels parched. And that's not the best example, and that's not the best message of when to start drinking and when our body needs water, because that's the last place to go. When our mouth feels parched, there are other parts of our body that are already dehydrated. There is a doctor. He has an Indian name, and he works out of England. I'll call him Dr. B. If anyone's interested in his name, I'll send it to you. Maybe I'll put it in the chat later. So Dr. B wrote a book, and it's called "You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty," and he explains that all the histamine channels and paths in our body are triggered by dehydration. So whether it's allergies, or whether it's joint pain, or whether it's inability to sleep, or even to think clearly, these are all related to a lack of hydration. And our brain is also made up of over 60% of water. Now, when a person doesn't have enough fluids in their body, the brain perceives their experience of life as painful, and lowers our pain tolerance. So lack of fluid also reduces our blood flow to the brain, which makes the pain feel worse. It reduces the amount of synovial fluid. Now that's the fluid that sort of coats and protects our joints. And when that doesn't have enough fluid in it, and it cannot lubricate our joints. And then we have an increased friction and wear and tear on our joints. And that can cause damage to cartilage, whether it's in our back vertebrae, or whether it's our shoulder or knees, all our joints. And it disrupts electrolyte balance, which causes muscle cramps and spasms. So let's talk about electrolytes. So first, I just want to, okay, so let's talk about what are the electrolytes. You know, there are drinks out in the stores called electrolyte water, vitamin water. You know, what are these electrolytes that our body needs? And these are potassium, chloride, sodium, magnesium, and calcium. And what do these electrolytes do? So first of all, they help nutrients go into the cell and out of the cell. For example, there's a sodium-potassium pump, and that's what regulates the passing of fluids and nutrients in and out, like fluids and nutrients into our cell, and helps detox our cells. After our cells are finished, producing whatever they need to do, we need to throw out the trash. That It detoxes the cell. So, we all hear about detox and cleansing. That happens at a cellular level, and it happens through the use of those sodium potassium pumps. And then we have calcium and magnesium, and those are very, very important in terms of nerve conduction, because our nerves, they're not connected. They're sort of like there's a synapse, there's an empty space between each nerve. And in order for our nerves to send messages from one nerve to the other so that a message can go from my brain all the way to the tips of my fingers and my toes, I need calcium and magnesium. That's how the nerves, they translate and they communicate to each other. So these electrolytes are really important in the right balance. And when we drink water, for example, we have to make sure that our water does have the electrolytes that it needs. So one issue, I'll just give my own experience. I have a filter in my home called a reverse osmosis filter, and that removes all the toxins and the chlorine and make sure my water is just so clean and filtered and wonderful. However, it also takes out these important minerals. So I have to be very careful to make sure that my water that I drink that I replace the minerals in them. And there are a couple ways that we can do that. One is through our food. One is through eating. Our fruits and vegetables are very high. Thank you. We can eat our electrolytes. I love this picture. It's making me hungry. So our fruits and vegetables are very high in electrolytes. For example, bananas that we know are high in potassium, and all these yummy, delicious, eat the rainbow, because they contain a perfect balance of minerals that we need in order to provide our body with electrolytes. And so I'm going to pass this over to Wendy to talk about another way to get electrolytes into our body.
Yes. And I also wanted to add that it's not about just drinking the water. If your body is dehydrated, you're going to have to go pee right afterwards. Like, that's a really good sign that your cells are dry. So we want to make sure that you're taking a walk, that you're doing some kind of body work, maybe getting a massage, doing the melt method, doing the fascial rehydration work with the rollers, wonderful. Doing yoga, simple stretches, anything you can do to manipulate the body to get the cells to be more ready to absorb the fluid is going to be a step in the right direction. But doTERRA also makes a electrolyte drink, and it's called MetaPower Recharge. And I usually just use this with my Advantage, my collagen product, which I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about today. But these two together actually are very delicious, and they help my body age gracefully, age better. As a matter of fact, I am going to spend just a minute talking about this one. This is the Advantage. And this has a product in it called NAD. And don't ask me to say this whole word, it's like the whole alphabet long, but it helps with aging. And one of the things it does is it maintains and repairs bone matter. So here I am with my broken bone, and I said, oh boy, I'm so glad that I've been using my Advantage. When I went in to have my second x-ray to see how the healing was going, they told me that they had two other people that had been in there that day with the same injury, and mine was healing really well, and the other two people had to have surgery so that the bones had just collapsed, and they had to go in and have their metal plates and pins put in there. So I'm really happy that I don't have that issue. Is it 100% related to this? I don't know, but I'm going to keep taking it anyway. So back to the Recharge. So the Recharge has the 6 electrolytes in it that we just talked about, and it also has the essential oils that are the ones that support your metabolism. So again, a really great product to consider. Okay. Oh, so the next one is microbiome balance. And Osnat, you're going to lead us through that one as well.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. And I hope that your hand heals very, very quickly, especially with you giving it the nutrients it needs to heal it well. So the third surprising hack about how to improve acute and chronic pain is improving our microbiome balance. So there's been a huge amount of research in the past 10 years about the microbiome. So what is the microbiome? That's it basically the critters, many different kind of species that live inside our gut. They actually also live on our skin, and they live inside our nose and our mouth. But mostly what we're going to address today is the intestines, the large intestines. And in the large and the microbiome is made up of good bugs and bad bugs and neutral bugs. So we want to have a balance of good to bad and neutral. Because what happens is that we have some bugs that are bad, quote unquote, like E. coli, yet we still have them in our body. But we'd like to keep them very in a small colony. And then we have the good bugs like bifidobacterium that we'd like to increase because what they do is they support our body in so many ways. As they digest the fiber that we eat, they produce something called short chain fatty acids. And those short chain fatty acids, what they do is improve the serotonin in our, like there are these neurotransmitters that help our brain health, like serotonin and dopamine. These are all created in our gut, and they're created by the short chain fatty acids that are created by the bacteria. So, like, who knew? It's such a symbiotic relationship that we have with them. So, we've heard a lot about lately, the past couple of years, about prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. And just to give a quick, I think we can get really clear on it. Prebiotics is the foods that the bacteria like to eat. So typically it's these beautiful fibers and also polyphenols, which is what gives color to our food. So the beautiful reds and the oranges and the yellows and greens and purples, those are the polyphenols. They're like curcumin and carotenoids and anthocyanins. Like there's so many, and they're discovering new ones every single day. So, it's hard to sort of put them into a little bottle because, when you eat natural food, you get the whole product, the fiber and the polyphenols in the right balance with each other that benefit and feed our microbiome. So let's talk for a few minutes about what improves our microbiome balance. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back to, we're doing prebiotics and probiotics are the actual bacteria itself that we ingest. And we know we have hundreds of different products on the grocery shelf that say probiotics on them. And then the third thing is the postbiotics, which are the short chain fatty acids that are produced by the bacteria. So we have those three. And now we'll look at for a moment what improves and what destroys the microbiome. What improves the balance of the proper bugs in our, species in our body, and what destroys them. So the first thing is diversity, or variety. The more different types of fiber that we eat, the more diverse our microbiome, the healthier our microbiome. And so we spoke about fiber is what feeds the microbiome, polyphenols, all these beautiful colors. Exercise, surprisingly, is a really major trick to improve the microbiome. And it doesn't have to be excessive. It could just be, yoga or the melt method, Pilates, like Wendy teaches. Any dancing is great, going for a walk. Any kind of movement is so beneficial to improve the balance of our microbiome. Another important piece is sleep, getting enough sleep at night. That is what nourishes our microbiome. And hydration, as we spoke about before, is also critical. So those, when we do have a good balance of lifestyle habits, of getting a good nutritious diet, good night's sleep, some exercise, that improves the balance and the health of our microbiome. And what destroys our microbiome? One is eating processed food will destroy the good bacteria. Taking medications, for example, antibiotics, wipes out our microbiome. And interestingly, the birth control pill is a very surprising way that our microbiome can get damaged. And as well as other medications, especially PPIs like proton pump inhibitors that people take for GERD, that damages the microbiome. And another thing that damages the microbiome is sugar, eating any kind of sugar. And, the list is endless in terms of examples of processed foods and sugars, and potentially gluten can also damage the microbiome. So we're looking at, trying to decrease these things and increase the things that improve our microbiome. So I'd like to pass it over to Wendy to give us some more ideas of how to improve our microbiome.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned about the birth control pill. Just before we get on this call today, I listened to a conversation with Tucker Carlson and gosh, I can't remember their names now, but it's a
That
cow.
means
Yeah,
Callie means.
yeah. And she was talking about how, how depleted our soil is, which is also another reason why we're not getting the microbiotics through our foods because our soil's depleted, and the birth control pill. And she said these are two of the women and soil are life-giving forces. And what we're doing is we're depleting that energy and it's changing the world. Oh gosh, not to be too dramatic, but anyway, I thought it was a really interesting comment in consideration what you just said. The other thing to consider is even though Osnat and I want you to eat the rainbow, find this diversity, that 75% of the world's food is coming from just 12 plants and 5 animals. And even the animal proteins that we eat, they are raised in something called a monoculture. So they're not getting the diversity of foods in their diet either. So it's a big concern going forward because these microbiomes also connect the gut to the brain. So it helps you with things like satiety, getting rid of a craving. It helps you be clear thinking and not depressed, puts you in a better mood when your microbiome is balanced. And if it's unbalanced, it can create muscle mass loss, which is the number one ingredient for aging, right? When you start to lose your muscle mass, that's a sign of aging. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough probiotics into the body. So how do you do that? So again, we do want you to eat the rainbow, but there are restrictions there. I had a client that I worked with for a while who only spent 10 minutes in the grocery store. And I said, excuse me, is your hair on fire when you walk through the grocery store? Can you take another few minutes and just look at all of this gorgeous produce that you have at your fingertips? I hope that she did that. We didn't work together for too long, but I do hope that she took some time to do that. So the next time you go to the grocery store, why don't you pick up something that you haven't eaten before or it's been a long time? Maybe some beets or kohlrabi, or what was that root that you told me about the other day, Osnat, that you tried?
Oh, burdock.
Root. So
Very exotic.
unusual, and just bring that into your home. I know in Reno you had that food co-op just around the corner from you, Barbara. That would be a great place to try something new. But I also would recommend that you take a really good probiotic. And there's so many probiotics out on the marketplace, but this is one of the best. Truly, it is. This is a hugely diverse product. So it has the largest diversity of any probiotic in the marketplace. You can see in this photograph the dual chamber capsule. And so that capsule is divided into two. And some of the contents of the capsule will be dissolved in your stomach, and some of it will survive the stomach acidity and travel right into the small intestines. You have live cells inside of the capsule. You have a cleanup crew for expired cells, and that means it's killing or clearing away the dead pathogens, the bad bacteria that you're getting rid of, and it's making more room for this good bacteria that's coming into the body. Osnat mentioned metabolites, those short chain fatty acids, and that's the end product of what the microbiome produces. And that's what makes that connection between the gut and the brain. And a lot of our children are dealing with depression, and they're always blaming it on social media. But I think that it's their crappy diet. Their diets are awful. And so you can't help but connect that with all of these issues that are happening for children these days that are probably outside of the range of topic for our class today, but I have some real concerns about the health of our children. So I would recommend this one. You just take one a day. There's 30 in the bottle. If you don't finish it up in the month, then you should put it in the refrigerator, and that will keep those cells alive and happy. Well, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got to the end. And what time is it? It's about 45 minutes after we started. That's not bad, Osnat. I was afraid we were going to keep them forever. To talk to you about today. Again, just those three hacks: managing your blood sugar, making sure you have balanced electrolytes, and balancing the microbiome. But of course, there's many more. And if these three didn't resonate with you and you feel like you want to spend some time with us, we are happy to get on a phone call with you and discuss some of your other options. So just leave us a message in the chat and we'll get back to you on that. Okay, great. And then what's my next slide? Oh yeah, this is the fun one for me. So we're going to talk about some topical uses for essential oils. So again, while your body is healing and you're making these changes to the gut microbiome, your electrolyte balance, you're balancing your blood sugar, you're still going to be dealing with some issues of discomfort, right? You're still going to have those headaches, back pain, hip pain, whatever. So I just wanted to go over some of the options that you have here. And the first one and the most obvious choice is to use Deep Blue. So this Deep Blue is a stick, this particular one. It's like deodorant, but you put it wherever it hurts. And it has a blend of essential oils in it, including something called copaiba. Copaiba is hugely anti-inflammatory, and it comes to you from South America, similar to frankincense. If you know about frankincense, it comes from the resin of trees, and it works like a charm. As a matter of fact, this is one of the few products that we are allowed to say that it works to ease the pain from arthritis. So the FDA kind of ties our hands behind our backs, and we can't make claims about our products for many of the common symptoms that you're dealing with. But I can say arthritis when I say Deep Blue stick. So get this one and apply it where you need to. And I'm going to talk about this one again in just a minute. We also have it, of course, in the essential oil blend and the rub. Some people do like the rub better, but yes and no. I don't like getting this on my fingers, and then maybe, brushing my hair away from my face, and now I have it near my eyes. So this just is a cleaner application, but a very different sensation, I should say. This one has more of that icy hot feel. So anyway, everybody should love Deep Blue. I had a friend who used to say that Deep Blue is the gateway drug to doTERRA. Okay, I created a little handout for you. If you want a copy of this, you could either take a screenshot on your computer or go ahead and fill in your email address, and I'll be happy to send this to you. So these are my recommendations for easing aches and discomforts for either the short term as your body's on its healing journey, or to help your body on that healing journey. So right there in the left are the three products that we talked about today: the PB Restore, the Recharge, and the Assist, to balance the microbiome, balance the electrolytes, and give you a healthy blood sugar. And then if we go over, we've just talked about the Deep Blue stick, the rub, and the blend, and that's good for muscle issues, joint, arthritis pain, and again, those pesky autoimmune issues that are very long to get your diagnoses. And 80% of us women are the ones that are being diagnosed with those autoimmune issues. And what's that coming from? Leaky gut. And leaky gut, what's that coming from? Microbiome dysregulation. So there's a big, huge connection there. The Copaiba soft gels, I like this product an awful lot. We talked about the Copaiba in the stick. So they also have it as a soft gel. It's also as an essential oil. If you're having a hard time getting sleep at night, I like to take this one. I will often take it with the Serenity soft gels. I like them together to get some sleep. But this also will give you a more normal inflammatory response. Inflammation in and of itself isn't a bad thing. We need the inflammation to heal the body, but we don't want to be chronically inflamed. Think about inflammation as if it were a light switch. It's either on or it's off. And when we have too much blood sugar, it's on. It's just on. And we need a way to turn it off. So again, fasting, the assist, making sure that you're dressing up those carbohydrates, right? So again, other reasons to take the Copaiba soft gels
Can I
on.
add something, Wendy, there?
Yeah, yeah.
I just like to say, in terms of my headaches, that I was having chronic bad headaches or slash migraines, and I use the Copaiba soft gels. I think they're great, and I also add to it the turmeric soft gels,
Those are
which
good.
I that was my gateway drug into DoTerra. That turmeric, that little capsule that's got the powder and the oil.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
good.
just it's
Yeah,
just magic.
I need to make the font and the images smaller and
I know. There's so many good products.
I know. I kept thinking, what should I add? I want to add so many things. And so that's another good one. And there are thousands of studies on how effective turmeric is to help with issues of inflammation. So it's a great one to add. We also have lemongrass. I think lemongrass is the unsung hero of essential oils. It's very, very good for ligament issues, joint issues, tendon, for your fascia, if you have a soft tissue issue, we like to say. So that's a really great one. It smells beautiful. It's a nice one if you're a chef and you like to make soup. Just a tiny little drop will do you. It's a really powerful and strong essential oil. And above the lemongrass is Aroma Touch, one of my very, very favorites. I love this one. It's got marjoram in it, which is great, great anti-inflammatory, and it has wintergreen in it. Wintergreen has a chemical constituent called methyl salicylate. There's no quiz, you don't need to remember that, but it's the compound that is used to make the synthetic version is aspirin. So methyl salicylate was first found in wintergreen as a pain reliever, and then they made it into aspirin, which is a synthetic, right? So Aroma Touch, good for post-exercise pain, obviously good for massage, restless leg syndrome, nerve issues, and to improve your circulation if you're dealing with that. Then I also wanted to add the Lifelong Vitality Pack because I have to. The Lifelong Vitality Pack is such a great way to get all of those whole food nutrients that we've been talking about during class, including the turmeric, turmerons, curcumin, ginkgo biloba, all of CoQ10, all of these things that are going to help the body with inflammation and remove these oxidants from the body. Immune support, cardiovascular support, just a really great one to have in your medicine cabinet and take when you can. Okay, so those were my hit list of some of my favorites. Now, recently, my mom has been dealing with some peripheral neuropathy that actually keeps her awake at night, and she's been having more and more symptoms that have been pretty alarming. And we could talk about her as a whole class, as a case study. But let's just suffice it to say that when she was here the other day, she was telling me that it's been keeping her awake at night. So I looked up in my book, the Essential Life book, and I found a recipe for her. And it's the nerve damage blend. And I just thought I would share that with you on this sheet because she's finding that it really works for her. She's been using other products. Some of them are prescription products. And then there was one over the counter that she was using that's really just lidocaine, but it's a little expensive. And so she was looking for some other options. So what I did was I made her a roller ball. So I just got a 5 milliliter glass container. You can buy the larger ones, the 10 milliliter, um, through the DoTerra wholesale account, and then you would just double the recipe or just add half of these ingredients. And you would put frankincense, helichrysum, Roman chamomile, vetiver, and peppermint into your roller bottle. And then you would top it off with the fractionated coconut oil. I have it here from doTERRA, but of course there are other sources for fractionated coconut oil. And then you just give it a good shake and you apply that wherever you need it. So wherever you feel like you're having some peripheral neuropathy, which is really debilitating as you get older. That's a huge concern for people. It causes them to have a loss of balance and poor mobility. So let's not go there. Let's really not go there. And there are reasons why you're getting neuropathy. We talked about those, that blood sugar issue, the electrolyte issue. So let's just make sure that we're trying to stay healthy and we're listening to what the body is telling you about these aches and discomforts. So my mom is using this on her feet, and then she's layering the deep blue stick on top. And so I keep checking in with her every day. How's it working? How's it working? She says, it's working great. It's working really well for her. So I would encourage you to consider that if that is something that you need some help with. If you're interested in any of these doTERRA products and you do not have a doTERRA wholesale account, please reach out to me or to OSNAT and we can help you get started. All righty, that is the end of our class officially. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording. And let's go ahead and chat.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
Yeah, I thought it
It's
was
been
good.
so interesting.
Yeah,
So happy to hear your mother is getting relief.
gosh, me too.
And I just want to point out and remind us all that, the most important thing is to work on the root causes of our pain. And